tonight as the opposition MPP seeks for answers as to their poor performance in the 2024 general elections. The General Secretary of the party is revealing the performance of the Akufo-Addo-led government hugely contributed to the poor showing of the party in the 2024 elections. Details as he reviews the government was adamant to the realities.
To the extent that Akufo-Addo be a DDEP, Domestic Debt Exchange Program.
Yeah.
Do baby no policy abandoned by said yes, several banks named Kojo car more. He took that decision, but it didn't go down well.
We have more on this particular story as he absolves himself of any blame in that particular loss.
Cabinet, right? Maybe call cabinet.
Yeah.
Me national chairman.
Yeah.
Busa cabinet members or muhunina. The told be a team coming. Omunina over one side, Namijina one side.
Now Nyomu.
Chairman, national chairman, Chasu, with the team Chasu.
Okay.
We have more here on Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Well, tonight, the General Secretary of the opposition New Patriotic Party is revealing that the performance of the Akufo-Addo-led government hugely contributed to the poor showing of the party in the 2024 elections. Now, we know that the party is currently in a meeting trying to understand what the party supporters do make of the party's performance in the 2024 elections. Now, ahead of that particular meeting, the General Secretary has revealed that, well, some economic decisions of the government, were handled poorly. He spoke on Kumasi-based Kesben FM. Listen.
In opposition, Breno, a businessman, a academia for ya, a lawyer for ya, a judges for ya, doctors for ya, and almost all party. Sasson and Brant, sad time, now looks very, very vibrant. International of Ghana, there was a student from SARS in ADH. Code in the Kwasem said, first 4 years, na economy no imagine so economy. So hope. But me jitum say from 2020 about 2024 no mamu ye pa.
Yeah.
To the extent said Akufo-Addo be a DDEP, Domestic Debt Exchange Program.
Yeah.
Do baby no policy abandoned by said yes, several banks named Kojo car more. He took that decision, but it didn't go down well with your base because we share your base now. To na me teach him. A young crowd businessman for an academia for open support here.
Yeah.
Imagine say be a Usikada bank now or now to me Usikan natural say be a next 5 years 6 years between kankaka. No matter the explanation about the baby, say it will not put bread on the table for you.
Yeah.
To say be a always higher or no. Such a person or do MPP pound to.
So what he was basically saying is that, the first term of the government was very smooth. The performance of the economy was well, but from the second one, where they implemented the DDEP, for example, he says that particular one wasn't handled well, and it didn't. The way the thing was handled wasn't received well by the base of the party. He then went on to say that as many people try to point accusing fingers at him, he cannot be blamed for the party's loss because he was frank with the government over its performance. Listen.
For me to have come out then to say, baby, you do know, Oman Penny, Minister Macan, maybe with them, but baby with them, I can't have one thing. Say it's hard time, man. As a way reshuffle. To the extent, say, make us say, employ appointee now to. Na, a Juman, so man, Penny can reshuffle no abra. For akunya eto
yeah
ne mpeni pa foforo.
That's true.
Say party na me kwa na me penny wo mu.
Yeah.
Me kan no. Bonipa ba ko ba bontin be support me.
Me fat man hu bia.
Bonipa ba ko.
Me hu bia. Ti omo chese wo mfisu na untimi ni general secretary na sefo ni nyina no. That is not the issue.
You see, but say na make sure say it's not about age. It's about India wo.
Okay.
Any adwuma wo ya. Any akukudura wo.
Yeah.
Me say me be gya bontin kan no. Omo kan penifo omo am so mo nim dia omo ho no. Omo nya akukuduro. Etim be hwe man peni anim, etim be hwe aban no ka chiro aban. The general secretary kan ne ya adwene. To sana mo no. Me see Sebi asem your call lesson you lusua. People are in the haste to find means to blame people. But and then no solution.
Right.
As a fight issue no one by one. A tossing me no. Cabinet, maybe call cabinet.
Yeah.
Me national chairman.
Yeah.
Busa cabinet members or muhunyina. It told be a Timmy coming. Omunyina one side. Na me jina one side.
Na nyomo.
Chairman, national chairman. Chaso. With the Timmy chaso.
Okay.
You see, me no be a say me koyo hu from koyo yes amasa.
Only pushover.
Me ne pushover. Say me kase me ya dia me. Na so una no na ukra to me no.
Okay.
Obetima kire wadwene. Obetima kasa kasese. But eduru baby na dodo na so omo nko ha. Ke wodi den na betimi aye. Oye no oye
okakuo no ho.
And say whatever decision you be taking no. At least obekire wadwene. But this is the view of the majority say near the yeko.
So what he basically was trying to put across is that, well, he cannot be blamed because he was frank with the government, especially when it got to a point in the history of the party. No general secretary has ever come out to tell the president to undertake a reshuffle, but he did, and he asked the question that when he called for a reshuffle, who in the party leadership came to back his call? Nobody did. It shows that he was frank with them. He then went ahead to say that he goes to cabinet, and at cabinet, he says his mind on issues, and at times, the chairman of the party will try to persuade him to stand down in his point of view, but he says no, he's not a pushover, so he sticks to his position. But this is a group of people. If he takes a particular a stand, and the larger part of the committee says they are going the other way, he has no choice, and that's why they were involved in what we also the performance that they got in 2024. But he cannot be blamed for that. Well, the Global Info Analytics has also done a certain kind of work, or they've done a research on trying to understand from Ghanaians who is to blame for the party's woeful performance in the 2024 general elections. My colleague Papani actually joins me in studio with the result of that particular survey. Papani, what do we know of that result?
So, Brace, first of all, from the research and their findings, they came up with 7 individuals, 7 names that have a role to play in the defeat of the MPP in the last general elections. That only means that at least from the people they surveyed, these 7 people had a role to play in the defeat of the party.
So that's what the respondent.
But they also ranked and gave percentages to who had the utmost responsibility and who contributed the most to their defeat,
according to the survey.
So we'll start from the least numbers here, and this is 9%. That of all the people, this 7 individuals, this person had 9% percentage was reason for their loss in the general elections, and this is supposed to be Kennedy Japan.
Okay, so in the minds of the people, Kennedy Japan had the least contribution to the poor performance the MPP witnessed in 2024.
That's one way to put it as well. You also come to the next. It says that it's a group of people, the members of parliament, 26%. Were responsible, or at least they thought that the loss of the party, 26% should be attributed to members of parliament. And then it moves to government appointees, and these will be people, ministers, or people who served as CEOs to some of the boards and also to some of the agencies under the Nana Akufo-Addo government. They were 32% led to that of the loss of the party. Now it comes to 33, just 1% more, and that will be the vice presidential candidate of the MPP in the last general elections, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh. They say that 33% of the reason for their loss could be attributed to him.
Okay.
And then you come to Dr. Baumia. Dr. Baumia, they said, was 37%. Not forget, the next person to him is 33, so just 4% more.
Yeah.
That he 37% was the reason they lost. And
so
then
the 37% of the respondents think that Mahmoud Baumia contributed to their loss.
yes,
in this.
and it says that the topic for that particular page says responsibility for MPP's defeat in the 2024
election.
So Baumia had a 37% responsibility for their loss in their defeat in the 2024 elections. The person after Baumia, which is 37%, now goes to 40%, and that is Ken Ofori-Atta, who was the finance minister largely throughout the term of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Some group of MPs came out to call on the president
largely led by Andy Appiah Kubi.
to remove him because he was the cause of the challenges they were encountering in government.
Unprecedented move at the time to have a sitting government, you have members of parliament who ordinarily always be towing the line of government. Saying, no, we don't want this person in government. Not forgetting that the government apparatus says 32% led to the defeat of the MPP. Okay. So Ken Ofori-Atta has been separated from that government
machinery,
singled individually, that for 40%, he had 40% responsibility for their loss.
Okay.
And then from 40, we now move to 68%. This will be the last person, arguably, with the most responsibility from the responders for adding or for contributing to their loss. And this is the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
68% of the respondents thought that he had the bigger share of the contributing to their loss in the former elections.
Interesting. But we do know that today the party has converged at the Alisa Hotel here in Accra to deliberate on the report by the committee, the Professor Okwe committee report, to understand what should be the next step for the party. But even before this report was ready, a former member of parliament for Dom Kwabinya has been speaking and sharing her point on the relevance of such a committee. Listen to her as she gives her thought on the committee.
So I'm telling you, we are the cause of our own loss.
Have you appeared before the Professor Michael Kwei's committee? You have stories to tell.
It's a very bogus committee.
Why do you say so?
Why? And a committee that is put together, and it's an intentional committee put together just to make sure that we find certain facts and push a particular candidate away from the candidacy so that we can bring our own. You call that a credible fact-finding committee?
So today the party is meeting to analyze this committee, despite the point that Joseph shares there. Kenneth Jesse is our man on the ground, and he's joining us now. Kenneth, what more can you share with us?
Well, the meeting concluded moments ago. President Akufo-Addo has exited the place as we speak right now. And about 30 minutes ago, I spoke to the communications director of the New Patriotic Party, Richard Ahiagba, who told me that they are not going to make the findings of that report public, at least for now. They're going to deliberate on the way forward. And as we speak, there's a press conference ongoing, which is being addressed by the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, and also the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kojo. And he has reiterated the comments that was made by Richard Ahiagba, saying that they will come out to speak on this report at the right time, when they want to. And they have cautioned all party members from the top to the bottom that nobody has been obligated to speak on it except when they are being given the green light. So
okay, but Kenneth, as you said the minority leader is speaking. Can you get closer? We listen to exactly what he's telling. He's saying.
Yes, I'll get closer now. But on my way, though, I need to make a point that the General Secretary has also said that the party will embark on a thank you tour from next week to give thanks to God for all that has happened to them, although they did not emerge victorious. They suffered one of their worst humiliating defeats in recent history, and I'm getting closer to the press conference that is currently being addressed by the minority leader.
All right, okay. We'll come back to you when you get there. But we do have on the line with us Musa Dankwa. He's executive director of the Global Info Analytics. They undertook that survey that we shared the results with you. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining. Now, if we look at the research, we didn't see where you took on the party machinery. Is it that the respondent did not cite the party executives or the machinery itself to have contributed to their performance?
Right. Thank you very much. This was a close-ended question, which was based initially on the fieldwork that we did to pick up the names or the issues or the people who people are blaming. So the party machinery didn't really feature that much. So they were really centered on these particular individuals and group of individuals.
So the understanding is that the percentages assigned to them is the level at which they contributed to the party's loss in 2024.
Exactly. Okay, go ahead.
No. Just make a point. I'll come to you.
Yes, what I was going to say is that people were given this list, but we asked them to pick the top three. So they had to assign the blame to top three persons or group of persons. And these were the numbers that came out from that.
As a pollster, what's your expectation of how the party in this particular healing process that they're undertaking, what do you expect of them to do with in particular the research you've done to help in the process they're undertaking?
At least it sets the record straight. Those who were denying that there were reasons why the party lost, consistently, these polls have shown that these were the individuals who were to be blamed for the loss. Now, people must admit their contributions and probably apologize to the party openly, and then probably the party can move on from there. I mean, if you look at even the breakdown of the blame, among people who are MPP, 59% of the blames went to Nana Addo. Among those who are MPP, Bawumia is about 30%, Matthew Kuku-Prempeh about 36%, Ken Ufureta 38%. So, I mean, people were very emphatic. Either NDC, MPP, floating vote, across board, they were unanimous about the level of blame. So I think people must just accept blame and apologize and let the party move forward.
Which means that if the party's research that they've done, the Professor Michael Quay report, if they single out Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, it won't be in sync with what the grassroots of the party is thinking or are thinking.
No, not just grassroots, not in sync with the whole country.
Oh, interesting. We'll see how it goes. So, I mean, I'm grateful to you. But stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Amwakoba. He is someone who contested to be a chairman of the party some time ago. He also has some views to share with us here. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, you really understand this party and what they are going through. What is your expectation of how the party should heal? We understand that Ghanaians think you can't put all the blame on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. You've seen, they say Ghanaians are rather citing Nana Addo Akufo-Addo for the loss. What do you think the party should do? How should they progress from where they are?
The party should accept it and not allow the president to make any decision. You see, he has to be magnanimous. You are the big guy. You are not running again. If they are blaming you, accept it. For the sake of the party, accept it. And make sure now we are going to do better. This is what you do. Don't sit there and try to deflect that no, you didn't do it. Now they want to come up with a scenario that the party lost because they presented the wrong candidate. So put the blame on Bawumia. No, this is not acceptable. This is what the president is doing. And besides, today when he needs to talk about what went wrong, he shouldn't take a leading role in it. If you see that he is the reason why it went wrong, why should he be taking a leading role in it? He's going to tell us he didn't do it. No. He shouldn't even be there. What is his role now?
Okay.
But let him know what is happening. And he should not behave as if he is still the leader of the party. He is not. And by his shenanigans and all they're doing, this is not this calamity to the party. Enough is enough. And Mensah says the party leaders cannot do without him. Every instant they get, call him. They call him. As if he's going to tell us something so important. What?
All right, I'm grateful. Stay with me. Let me take you back to Alisa Hotel, where our man Kenneth Jesse is still monitoring, the development there. Kenneth Jesse is joining us back on the line. Ken, so let's understand what.
So hang up the line and let me do the record.
Okay, all right. So that's it. But the director of communications of the party, Richard Anhiaba, has been speaking at this particular press conference. Listen.
I think we had a National Executive Committee meeting earlier and then transitioning into National Council meeting. The committee, the 2024 Election Review Committee, came to present their report to National Council. That report, generally, we've accepted it, and a committee has been put together to work on some of the recommendations in that report going forward. So that's the extent to which I can give you information right now.
Is that report going to be made public?
I don't think so, because it's an internal document that will be used to aid the party's reform process to position us for victory in 2020. So I can guarantee you, even though it's not expressly stated, it is implied that that document cannot be a public document.
But we know that the MPP is a political party. You deal with numbers. Your supporters would like to know really what happened.
Well, there's a way our supporters will know about it without it being public. So it's a working document. It's a document that the party is going to work to. Most of the recommendations there will be key in what we do now till election 2028.
It's 4 now, getting to 5. How long should we wait till we hear something from the party?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of conversations going on there, and I'm very sure that in a matter of time now, it shouldn't be too long. You've been here since morning, I should say, so maybe in a matter of hours, we should be wrapping up. And I think that the General Secretary, supported by the National Chairman, would give a press conference immediately after the discussions there.
Yeah.
So that's the director of communications of the party, Richard Anhiaba, speaking to Kenneth Jesse after that meeting. But Kenneth is still there at Alisa monitoring what's happening there. Kenneth, what more is happening?
Well, the joint press conference with the minority leader and also the general secretary has concluded. I initially mentioned what the general secretary had talked about, and the minority leader also touched on the recent attempts to remove the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, from office. And then he said that all the judges that are currently on at the Supreme Court should stand firm and should not be intimidated, and that the new Progressive Party does not support the intimidation of any judge who has been appointed to the Supreme Court. And he also reiterated the point that was made by the party's general secretary that they are going to make the decision or the report, the outcome of the report, public only when they feel like. And as it stands now, they are not telling anybody, they have not told anybody to go public and say anything that will go contrary to what was found in the report. So as it stands now, they are withholding the report. They will not make it public until they feel the time is right. Okay. So, I mean, earlier, the former president exited the premise without uttering a word to us. And Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the minority leader, and also the general secretary of the party, Justin Kodia, have also concluded their press conference and left the premises.
All right, grateful to you. That's Kenneth Jesse there. Let's bring in Dr. Kwame Asante. He's a political scientist with the University of Ghana. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining. The party says they will make this this report public. But Dr. Amakoba is with me. Doc, you had some position earlier. The party says this report will not be made public. You side with them?
Well, maybe not the whole report, but for sure, what is the merits to come up? What secret is it? We failed. That is a secret. We did that, and that's why we failed. When we were saying, taking the 8, we were about to commit the colossal, abysmal performance in the history of the party. And you were still saying basically, that tells you that we didn't know what we were talking about. The party apparatus didn't know what we were talking about. They didn't even see the trouble coming to take action to prevent it. and that we will not talk about it. What is this?
Okay.
It is not good.
Okay. All right. Now they are about to undertake, rebuilding of the party from the polling station level up to the top. What would be your advice to the party in trying to rebuild the party from the base?
I'm sorry, I can't hear your voice very well.
I'm asking what would be your advice to the party as they attempt to rebuild the party from the base?
Well, you see, I don't know what they talk about because they have not made it public. So it makes it difficult for you to talk about it openly.
Okay. All right.
If you make it public, all of us are on the same page.
Okay.
I'm not saying everything. Look, former president is very sensitive. Now, when you say 67% say he is the cause of the disease, he doesn't like that. He will want you to say majority say that he is the cause of the disease. That's how he wants you to say. But will that help you know exactly what the margin is? The majority, what majority? 51% or 67%. This is the problem. It's a matter of semantics, but it makes a lot of difference. He is the cause of the defeat state. And he is.
But can it be all about, can it all be about Akufo-Addo?
Yes. I'm talking about him. Look at all the things he did. Look at all the things he did in 8 years. Fighting with Parliament, fighting with his own MPs, campaigning against his own MPs, money, handling money, flying with on jets, private jets with his girlfriend. What is going on?
Okay.
You don't know these things. You still can't say it. What is going on here? Then we are doomed because we will never tell the truth. That even the whole country knows we want to keep it a secret. What kind of nonsense is that? What is it in the report that the country doesn't know? What?
I'm grateful to you, Dr. Amakoba, joining us. But let me bring in Dr. Asa Asante. He is a political science scientist with the University of Ghana. Doc, the MPP just concluded their meeting. They say the report will not be made public now. I mean, from all that we know, how do you want the party to progress from here?
I think that what they have done is a good thing. Anytime any party goes to election, you need to look at what went wrong, after which you get the report, you look at the findings, and you try to address the problems at the national level, at the regional level, and constituency level. Then beyond that, any other problem that lingers within the political space of the party, you are trying to address it head on. So I think that is the first point. The next point is that they should master the courage and go by the dictates of the report without adding and subtracting into the content of the report. That once they do that, then they can assure themselves that they are on the right track. But if they want to shortchange the whole process and then shove some under the carpet in terms of the content, I'm afraid it will fire.
I'm grateful to you for joining us. This has been top. So I'm also grateful to Musa Dankwa, who joined us via Zoom. This was brought to you by Telecel Connect and Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Up next is Newsnight.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, millions of biometric records collected during SIM re-registration exercise under MPP administration cannot be found. We hear from Communications Minister as he leads efforts to locate the missing data following the controversial nationwide exercise authorized by former Minister Akufo-Addo.
all of that data that was taken, your fingerprints that were taken, where's that data sitting? You ask who has it, they say, well, the MNO, the private developer who developed the app is the one who had it. The developer says, no, we transmitted it to the telcos.
But somebody has it. It's sitting somewhere.
Well, we're trying to find out where it is.
Well, the sector minister is already compiling a case that may see the prosecution of former government officials.
When the Attorney General is fully versed with all the information and he looks at the legislation that we have and what the legislation mandates anyone who processes data to do, there will be a clear decision for him to make.
Also tonight, illegal gold mining activities in the Subri Forest Reserve in the Western region drives violent Boko conflict, which has claimed dozens of lives and destroyed property.
Some of the people told us that if you come downside to work and you don't send money back to support the conflict in Boko, they will attack your family. So it tells you that the illegal mining menace is funding the conflict.
Also tonight, Education Minister Harun Idrisu commissioned 7-member Education Review Committee to reform teaching and learning from kindergarten to primary 6 and tax it to settle the age-old debate on who founded Ghana.
It's a visionary step towards preparing our children for the real world of work. So I'm at a loss that at 68 years, we are still grappling with who are the founders of Ghana. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Osajefo is a founding leader of Ghana.
Plus, the Communications Minister to suspend licenses of more than 50 radio and television stations that received their license renewals after the December 7 elections.
Authorizations had expired. The individuals behind them were called post-December 7, because many of them are politically affiliated persons, told to quickly put in applications. They put in renewal application. And then the then board decided that they would vest the law into their own hands and convert those renewals into fresh applications. You don't have such power, sir. You don't have such power, ma'am.
In business, some oil marketing firms commenced reduction in prices of petroleum products at the pumps.
And in sports, Bibiani Gold Stars returned to the top as Kotoko slipped to third after 3-0 loss to Accra Lions in the Ghana Premier League.
You want to join us with your views and comments here on News 9055111197. And it is emerging tonight that millions of biometric records collected during the controversial SIM re-registration exercise under the MPP administration cannot be found. The compulsory exercise authorized by former Minister Esler Akufo compelled Ghanaians to re-register the SIM cards using their biometric data linked to the Ghana card. But speaking on PM Express last night, Sam George, the incumbent communications minister, disclosed more than 2 months into his tenure, he is yet to find where and who has your biometric records.
The government once again reiterates our respect for the freedom of expression and the rights to public and private communication of citizens, but also wishes to remind us.
We'll bring you that interview pretty shortly. That obviously is not the sound we want to hear from Sam George, who has been speaking on this particular matter today. In addition to that, he's also been talking a lot about his own ambitions for this particular sector. We'll hear from him shortly. He's also been talking to us about what he believes may have happened to the data that was shared, maybe with the government. I want to bring in right now the CEO of the Telecoms Chamber, who has been involved in the process himself. We'll hear from Sam George pretty shortly. Dr. Ken Ashigbe joins me on the line right now. Mr. Ashigbe, thanks for your time here on Newsnight, Dr. Ashigbe. You may have listened to the minister when he raises the question about where the biometric data that was collected, the records that were collected under the SIM registration exercise under the previous administration, where it is. He says he can find it. What do you know about this? Because I know I went to my mobile telecom operator and I gave them my biometrics, so it should be somewhere.
So, Evans, good evening, and good evening to our listeners. Definitely, the biometric data was collected, and it was collected using an an app. That app was developed by Kelmi GVG, who is the technical partner of the NTA. what we know is that the app, the servers at the back end of the app was kept at meter. So that data definitely exists, and it should be sitting somewhere. The question, again, that we should be asking is that as we speak, registrations are going on. The telcos are still using that particular app, and the owner of the app, the person who designs the app, the person who is hosting the app, is the one collecting it. So what the biometrics once is done, it goes straight to whoever is is the owner of the app. And so between the NTA, the Kelmi GVG, NITA, those who control that data is sitting there, and this is the reason why we had raised some concerns at the point where, instead of what the law stipulates, for us to use the single source of truth, so far as biometric verification was concerned, which is the NI. And this was not listened to. And so I find it really very interesting that the minister, cannot find, that data that was collected.
And I want us to listen to him and the efforts he says he's putting since he was confirmed to try and find the data, your data and mine as well.
What makes that card authentic is his biometrics. That's why when you take your Ghana card to the bank, for them to do the transaction, they give you a biometric verification device for you to put your finger on and verify that it is you. No such verification was done. In fact, what they rather did was to now capture your 10 fingerprints again. In some instances, take a facial recognition again of you, but not cross-reference it against the single source of truth. So the question you must ask, from a data protection perspective, is all of that data that was taken, your fingerprints that were taken, where is that data sitting? It wasn't cross-referenced against anyone. Where is that sitting?
You asked, where is that sitting? You should know by now. Where is that sitting?
Well, the MNOs don't have it. Some private app developer seems to have it. Yes.
You don't know who?
Well, you ask who has it, they say, well, the MNO, the private developer who developed the app is the one who had it. The developer says, no, we transmitted it to the telcos. So that's why I'm saying that there's still a lot of work going on in that respect.
But that's a
Evans,
shocking realization.
don't forget that I've been at the ministry less than 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's still work in progress. You get it?
But somebody has it. It's sitting somewhere.
Well, we're trying to find out where it is.
But to think that more than 60 days since you've been there.
Yes.
You still can't put your finger on it. Alone is scary.
It's the reason why people have questions to answer.
Yeah, the Data Protection Agency.
Yes, which sits under the ministry.
Yes. And what
they were completely cut out.
They don't know?
Absolutely not.
Where my data
They played absolutely no role in that process.
But we have a Data Protection Act, which you just praised in a short few minutes ago.
Sure. And that's why I'm saying that when the Attorney General is fully versed with all the information, and he looks at the legislation that we have and what the legislation mandates anyone who processes data to do, there will be a clear decision for him to make.
Dr. Ashigbe says that even the MNOs do not have it, and you represent them. And that's my curiosity. Why don't you have it?
No, again, so anybody who does basic engineering, basic IT, will tell you that if you have any app which you're using to collect data, it is not who is using the app that has the data. It's who owns the app, who owns the back end that has that data. So I would be surprised that the app developer who developed the common platform, which is Kelmi GVG, would even try and tell the minister that data has been sent to the telcos. What would the telcos need that data for? We use the app. There's the app that is used in carrying out the SIM registration. It's a central app that all of us connect to, and then the database is sitting with them, and then once you do anything, the data goes there, and they are supposed to have used that. Finally, what they were going to do was that they were going to align and synchronize that with a single point of truth, which the law says that is the NIA database. So that's what that should be. That was supposed to be.
Are you suggesting that if you really want to find it, the most probable place will be with Kelmi GVG?
So it would be, again, Kelmi GVG was working for the NCA. So far as I'm concerned, the NCA, that is the regulator that got Kelmi GVG to produce that app that we then had to use between. So I would point first to the NTA, who would then bring their technical partners. But I'm just responding to the minister saying that the app developer dared to say that the data was transmitted to us. If we needed the data and we're collecting it, you would have said that once we collect it, let's keep it. But if you look at the architecture of the particular app, the data once collected goes to the central, the common platform. And so definitely the data should be sitting. And one of the comforting things, because we were also concerned about that when we're doing all of this, is that we were told that the servers are sitting with the National Data Center, the NITA Data Center. And so that is where that is supposed to be sitting.
I mean, but Dr. Shigbe, if what you're saying is what it is, you listen to the minister. The NCA is under his watch. NITA is under his ministry. The National Data Protection Agency under his watch. He says he's asked all of them. Nobody can tell him where the data is sitting. Your data and mine.
No, you see, again, so that's why I'm pretty sure the minister tells you that it's early days yet and they'll find it. Because within the confines of the minister, all these agencies are under him. It is true that the Data Protection Agency would say, they are not party to it, because exactly they were not party to it. They had consent, when the data registration, the SIM registration was being done in terms of the way the whole architecture is. So the Data Protection Agency, nobody can call them to say they will be custodians of this particular data. And so I can tell you, again, this is where my heart as an engineer, that definitely we had an app that collected, that had a central database on which every biometric data was collected, then went into, and we were told at the point when we were doing this that the servers for that was sitting at NITA. So definitely, I'm pretty sure when all of the search is done, and it will be easy to be able to locate this, and if anybody has moved it elsewhere from the NITA, then I'm sure we'll be able to get it.
But it sounds pretty alarming when I first heard it. I mean, of course, even if it has been moved, that raises serious fundamental questions. Please stay with me. I want to bring in Teki Akwete Farkona, Executive Director of Africa Digital Rights Hub. She used to be the head of the Data Protection Agency. Joins us on the telephone line on via Zoom, I believe, right now. Teki, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. I mean, how significant a breach is this of our Data Protection Act?
I don't think we can for certain say there has been a breach just yet. Under the law, data controllers, in this case, the NCA, whatever third party is involved, the MNOs are data controllers, and they will be required to register with the commission and to make it very clear what exactly they are doing in terms of this particular process. So that is one of the first things that must be established, that were the entities doing the right thing in terms of informing the regulator of data protection about what exactly they were doing, what the process entailed, where they were collecting the information. And in fact, this is why the registration process is very important. Indeed, the registration serves two purposes. The first part is to make the commission well aware about who is collecting what information, where is the information being held, so that when there is any form of breach or compromise, the regulator can find out who is involved and how do we resolve those issues. That's one of the first reasons for registration. The second one, if you look at our act carefully, is to provide the public with a transparent process by which they can be informed, right? So if, for instance, the third parties involved had registered, typically their information should be clearly available on the website of the Data Protection Commission as a registered entity, and they should, in a particular case, disclose what exactly they are doing with the information. So,
but in this case, the minister discloses, and Dr. Ashigbe has confirmed that the Data Protection Commission was not involved at all. They were left out of the process to collect the biometric data, yours and mine. Surprised at that?
Well, I don't think I can rely on just that information to say that there is a breach, right? Because there may be registration processes. Does it mean that they did not register? Does it mean that when the commission required information? These are all questions that I believe the Data Protection Commission itself is in a better position to respond to.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for joining us. And that day is Tekia Kweta-Falconer, is Executive Director, Africa Digital Right Hub. Dr. Ashigbe is still with me on the line. And Doc, on this subject, you are confident that further search can locate the biometric records. Knowing what you know, where is it likely to sit? Is it with NITA or you believe it's with NCA?
Oh, again, so as I'm saying, if you look at the way the architecture was drawn, it was sitting on a server, and the server was supposed, and again, that was the guarantees that we were getting, because you should bear in mind that during when this SIM registration was happening and all of that, people had concerns, and so people had raised those issues. And the point was made about the fact that this, data that we're talking about is sitting at the National Data Center, which is NITA. So that's it. But again, you see the point that Katie raises raises a fundamental challenge I have with our legislation so far as the regulation of the sector is concerned. There was an amendment of the NCA Act, and that amendment of the NCA Act put in a clause that says that the minister may give policy directions and the board shall. So you find out that for all of these regulatory entities, there is lack of independence. So the Data Protection Agency, I'm sure when these issues were happening, would raise the issues about some of the privacy issues and all of that. I'm pretty sure the registration and all might have been done. But bear in mind that this was a policy that was being driven by the minister. And I'm sure the minister would have said that he is giving policy direction, and if the board shall obey it. You know the way our structures are. So one of the things in terms of the review of all our legislation, one of the things I would say, and it's not only to us, but it's to all regulatory entities, it is important that we insulate and offer our regulatory institutions regulatory independence, so that if the Data Protection Agency and its board were so independent of the minister, if the minister was doing this, the Data Protection Agency can then stand up to the ministry and say that this one, so far as you're doing it, it's not right, and be able to get that done. But unfortunately, that cannot be done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Ken Ashigbe there. On the night, we learned from the sector minister, the communications minister, that he's still searching for your biometric records that you offered to the state as part of the SIM re-registration exercise under the previous administration. That is still some work in progress there. I want to stay with the education, the communications minister a while longer, because he has also disclosed to us that he will be suspending licenses of more than 50 radio and television stations that received their license renewals after the December 7 general elections. Listen to Sam George.
The frequency authorizations given for broadcast, either TV or radio, runs on spectrum. Spectrum is a finite national resource. And when we talk about Operation Recover All with oral, it's not just some high-level thing. I believe that oral must happen at every strata and in every agency of the state. And the report I've gotten from the NCA, the regulator, points out the fact that as recent as the 3rd of January this year, licenses were being renewed for licenses that had expired. Now, that in itself is an abuse of public office, because you cannot be renewing a frequency authorization that has expired.
Why not?
Well, the Justice Doche ruling in the Radio Gold versus NCA when the former minister shut down the radio stations. You remember she shut down the radio stations, she imposed pecuniary fines on them for the number of days that she thought their licenses had expired until she took that action. Justice Doche made it clear. He said that, well, with the frequency authorization, the law is clear. You must indicate to the regulator at least 30 days to the expiration of your license that you will renew your license. When that license lapses, you can no longer renew it because it's lapsed. It's not like a driving license where you can just go and renew after it's expired. When your frequency authorization expires, you have nothing. You want to do anything with that authorization, you have to make a fresh application. We have over 50 instances of several different categories of infractions. But in 12 clear instances, authorizations had expired. The individuals behind them were called post December 7, because many of them are politically affiliated persons, told to quickly put in applications, and in their haste, they did not put in new applications. They put in renewal applications. And then the then board decided that they would vest the law into their own hands and convert those renewals into fresh applications. You don't have such power, sir. You don't have such power, ma'am. And so, for me, I hold the view, and I've sought a legal opinion on this, that all of those renewals are null and void. But again, because President Mahama is an extremely loving person, he said, don't revoke those licenses. Engage them, which we will do. But in engaging them, we will suspend those licenses. Ask those individuals who are affected to regularize their paperwork. If you have to put in a fresh application, you put in a fresh application. You don't do a renewal and think that your renewal application can be converted into a fresh application.
So are these 11 stations you suspended your licenses?
No, I suspended the licenses of 6.
6, okay.
Those were for administrative reasons.
Okay, but these ones you're talking about...
I haven't even touched them yet.
Okay, but they
it's
will
about
be suspended.
53
Their
of them.
licenses.
We will deal with them.
53 across the country?
Yes.
Television and radio?
And radio, but largely radio. We'll be dealing with them.
A new setting that they'll be suspended.
In fact, I've had cause to engage the Media Foundation for West Africa.
Already.
And showed them the infractions, walked them step by step. So that's why I haven't acted arbitrarily, because I'm establishing for every stakeholder what the issues are. The outstanding meeting is with Giba, to also let Giba see what the infractions are. Because you see, Evans, it's critical that we bring sanity into this regime. We should not be afraid for people to say, oh, it's an abuse of power. It's clamping down on press freedoms. And that's why I said I'm not revoking the licenses.
But these 50 plus that you're currently engaging on, you're yet to meet Giba?
Yes, I as a body.
As a body.
Individuals in Giba, I have briefed.
But what about the stations themselves that you will be suspending your license?
Many of them had received letters, and that's the thing.
You've already told them?
Many of them had received letters of their default as far back as July last year. But then the then Director General took a decision that because of the election, he didn't want to touch them. You breed a culture of impunity and disregard for the law because of political consequences. Well, you didn't do that. You still lost by 1.6 million votes.
Well, Cecil Sunkwa-Mills is president of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association. He joins us on the line right now. Cecil, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. The minister in this interview discloses that he's planning to meet you. Has he met you yet?
Good evening, Evans. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity. We actually went to the minister to welcome him when he took office. And we actually tabled a number of concerns, and he also did same. This issue of stations was also one of the issues we discussed. And we didn't have the details of the stations involved then, but after the meeting, he did promise that we would have a second engagement, which we haven't had yet. But what we have done is, after the meeting, we actually sent out a circular to our stations to find out those who had received communication from the NCA and specifically what were the challenges. We got over 20 responses, but 11 had specific cases But it's important to note that most of those are administrative issues. So we currently are working with the MCA to make sure that those ones are resolved. The stations mentioned by the minister, who were giving licensing and without going through the process, we do not know those stations. They have not come to us. So we're just hearing this. So that is new to us.
Well,
but I believe that
he mentioned 53 of them across the country, and the reason he says they receive their license renewals post December 7, when in many cases the licenses had actually expired, and once it expires, you have to put in a fresh application, not a license renewal, and that's why for him he's setting that these 53, the licenses will certainly be suspended.
Well, from what he has said, I will not prejudge the discussion we haven't had. But basically, GIBA is an association that we like the right processes to be followed, even by our members or with the ministry or the NCA. So I believe in our conversation, we look at the procedure and what it is, because I believe that if there's a procedure where all other stations have complied by, every other station must do the same as a principle. So as for fairness, we'll look for it and make sure that the conversation will determine what goes on forward.
Give me a quick thoughts on his fundamental point, that as far as the law is concerned, and if you juxtapose a law against the recent ruling by the courts, once your license has expired, you cannot apply for a renewal. You can only put in a fresh application. You agree?
Well, the important thing in that statement is that the door hasn't been shut completely. What they're saying is you can go through the right process, if you didn't go through the right procedure.
Cecil, thank you very much. Cecil Sinkwa Mills, there's the president of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, still listening to News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, 2 months after fire ripped through the Techiman market, traders are still counting their losses. Twin disasters, the market fire and the nearby fuel station explosion, have left deep scars. But beyond the ruins lies a growing fear it could all happen again. Promises of help have faded and safety remains a distant hope. Bono East regional correspondent Anas Sabit has today's episode of our Breaking the Fire Cycle series.
One spark, that's all it takes to erase decades of labor. For many, the fire stole more than goods. It devoured their future. These recurrent fires have turned these herbs of life into ashes, leaving behind shattered dreams.
I have lost everything. I am a widow.
Most of these victims wonder how these fires occur late into the nights, with both happening on a Sunday. The causes of these fires remain glaring, with fire authorities attributing human errors as the sole cause of these infernos. ACFO2 Reverend Naomi Adubia Sapon is the Bono East Regional Fire Commander.
All the fire breaks that we've been reporting are caused by human factors. That means the errors of people that cause the various fires that we've encountered.
What is even more worrying is the fact that some unscrupulous persons beyond building on access routes go about building on top of fire hydrants.
We got a tip-off that there used to be a fire hydrant. So my regional commander and her safety team and then the task force proceeded to the place. So we dug the hole, and lo and behold, we found a fire hydrant underneath in front of that particular shop.
2 months later, we are back to the market space to assess the aftermath of the incidents and find out if anything has changed, or we are waiting for the next fire. We met traders still rebuilding their stores crammed together. Traders say they have no choice, with over 90% of them receiving zero government assistance.
Regional Minister Baye.
The regional minister, together with the other authorities, were here. They came to inquire for us the extent of damage. However, they told us that they would be back to date.
5 out of the region's 11 districts currently do not have fire tenders to respond to emergencies.
Blue East is made up of about 11 districts and the metro and the municipal. But it's some out of the 7, some might be not having these fire tenders.
To put a break to these fires, authorities are enforcing new regulations, but most importantly, they are intensifying education on safety protocols across the markets.
What we are currently doing is, I think we can do is to intensify our education. That is the only way out for us as a service.
The question isn't just how to stop the flames, it's whether those in power will finally listen. Anas Sabit, Teachman.
And my name is Evans Mensah. You're live here on News Night. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Right after business, we'll bring you details from Boko, where Joy News is learning tonight that illegal gold mining is fueling the conflict there. We'll tell you how after this.
Auntie T, abeg, fix me gobetete Ghana. No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans then eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no?
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, we the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, you fit get your own data and call packages. Fala! Made For Me bundles like the way you the want them. That *530#, then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Where do your hopes and dreams take flight? The money you've earned, the future shining bright. At Petra, we're not just here for your retirement plan. We are here for the life you've imagined and then some. From your child's education to your dream home's door, we'll help you achieve what you're striving for. Petra is here, steady and strong. Your wealth in safe hands, where it belongs. With investments that grow at rates that compete, we build your future with every heartbeat. That's Petra, your partner. Come joy or strife, guiding you toward the dreams that define your life. For your pensions, investments, loans, and more, visit our website at petraonline.com or dial *447 *70#. Petra, achieve more.
Hey Accra, this Easter there is only one place to be, the Junction Mall. From April 18th to 21st, it's 4 days of non-stop fun, family, and fantastic deals. Kids Fun Fair? Check. Live music with Afro Star Band on Holy Saturday? Absolutely. Easter Sunday with Ham Orchestra Choir? You bet. In addition, on Easter Monday, April 21st, we go all out for our Family Mall Day. Think live band, fun games, snooker, table tennis, basketball, video games, and so much more. Plus, shop and enjoy up to 70% off across your favorite stores. You heard right, up to 70% off. Follow us now at the Junction Mall GH on Facebook and Instagram. Alternatively, WhatsApp us on 0540-221-774 for more info. The Junction Mall. Join, explore, shop, enjoy.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. And in the headline, some oil marketing firms commence reduction in prices of petroleum products at the pumps. And economist Professor Lord Mensah expects some significant boost for the economy after government secured staff-level agreement with the IMF. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business, welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Sinter's tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. Let's now settle for the details. Some oil marketing firms have started reducing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. The latest to do this is major oil player Star Oil and Zen Petroleum. More in this report.
Star Oil, which currently occupies the number 2 slot, has dropped at prices effective this morning, selling a litre of petrol at 13 cedis, 87 pesos per litre, while diesel is going for 14 cedis, 77 pesos. Zen Petroleum has also reduced the price of petrol and it's selling a litre at 13 cedis, 69 pesos. Diesel, on the other hand, is going for 14 cedis, 74 pesos. More oil marketing companies are expected to adjust their prices later this evening. Many will be looking forward to the margin reduction for the other oil marketing firms in the country that are yet to review their prices at the pumps. Some industry persons, on the other hand, have raised concerns about the margin of reduction. They argue that, looking at the current development on the international market, we should have witnessed a larger reduction in the price per litre at the pumps. This is the 5th consecutive decline in price of petroleum products at the pumps since February this year.
That is a business desk report. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers say they welcome the margin of reduction that has been recorded so far. Now, this is despite earlier concerns that we should have witnessed a higher margin of decline at the pumps. Duncan Armour argues that it is in line with international developments on the market.
I don't see how prices could have gone lower. And it did. If you take international market price movements, IMPs, what you are seeing for petrol or PMS for this window is an increase of $4 a metric. Diesel witnessed about $25 decline. LPG witnessed about $52 decline per metric. And so one would expect that naturally some of the numbers you did indicate could have been a bit heavier, but then petrol could have equally gone up. But then if you you span the OMCs that have now done any reductions, you would realize that they've reduced for all 3 products, petrol, diesel, and LPG, that probably should see the highest leap.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Economist Professor Lord Mensah is projecting some significant boost for the economy in the coming months. Now, this was after Ghana secured a staff-level agreement with the IMF after it completed its 4th review. Professor Mensah argued that this could go a long way to help in stabilizing the cedi and also investor confidence, as well as improve donor inflows.
It sends a good information out there that the Ghanaian economy is on track, and it has been approved by a third party, which is the IMF. It's an independent entity looking into the economy and then also providing us financial support tied to financial discipline and economic performance. So their verdict is very, very important for the economy, and it will send a good signal to the global community and then also investors who are interested in coming to Ghana to invest. Going forward, will also be preparing themselves, looking at what we'll be able to achieve at the end of the program. So, with the verdict from the IMF, will be a good signal. I think that is what we need as a country.
And that is economist Professor Lord Mensah. Now, Managing Director of Coca-Cola Ghana, Felix Gomez, has disclosed that over 150,000 crates of its products valued at around $700,000 are smuggled from Nigeria into Ghana every month. Speaking during a courtesy call on the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Gomez emphasized the urgent need for stronger collaboration among government agencies to deal with this challenge.
As it's been raised, we face some challenges when it comes to smuggling of some of the products of Coca-Cola that are entering the country, where we believe that action should be.
Apologies for that quality of sound. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Customs, Brigadier General Glover Ashonanan, underscored the need for stronger partnership between public institutions and the public sector.
But smuggling has some business, undermining fair competition, and also affecting sales and revenue. But I wish to assure you, the Customs Division views this concern with the utmost seriousness as one of the agencies mandated to secure.
We apologize for that challenge with that sound. Now, electronic money issuers and fintechs are challenging claims of not doing enough to protect subscribers from fraudsters. That follows warning by the Minister of Communications, St. George, that government could soon move to withdraw the licenses of some firms that have failed to protect their subscribers from these activities. Kanashibe is Chief Executive of the Chamber of Electronic Money Issuers.
About if they find, the minister will establish that any of the EMI, a system that does not protect, subscribers. So in terms of the robustness of the EMI platforms, it is very, very robust. The challenge we have had is the challenge of social engineering. So in terms of the engagements that we do, those are things that we do. Again, then the minister himself has come up with a very fundamental policy initiative, the SIM registration. The reason why we're doing SIM registration is because the SIM registration was not complete. And so it did not result in a very secured SIM registry database that would have prevented.
Kanashibe, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Electronic Money Issuers. If you are a shareholder of JCB, the value of each share that you're holding today was up by 16 pesos to close at 7 Ghana cedis, 26 pesos. Also, if you're a shareholder of SIC Insurance, each share that you're holding was up by 6 pesos to close at 66 pesos. Now, if you had invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange from the beginning of this year to now, your investment up by more than 23%. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
George, thank you very much. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. This one says banks are using the biometric data for collections, for transactions, validating as well. So how does Sam George mean when he says he cannot find it? Nana Kwame Boateng says, Evans, are you surprised? Sam George is saying that he cannot find the biometric data that was collected. Even over 1,300 ECG containers at Tema Port cannot be accounted for. So what makes you think that he will find the biometric records? Then on the Spinkters Road says, did I hear MPP say they were doing well at the beginning of their reign? A reminder to them that they inherited the IMF, which made the books look good, but they definitely messed up big time. Musa Abattoir says, we do not need the MPP to officially announce their miserable defeat is already public knowledge. A few of your messages there on our WhatsApp console. Now, Joy News is learning that illegal small-scale mining, popularly known as galamsey, is one of the major sources of funding driving the violent conflict in Boku. That's according to Forestry Commission. The regional director of the commission, Nana Bosompim, says proceeds from the illegal mining enterprise is used to support factions involved in the conflict. Nana Bosompim's alarming disclosure follows a military raid that uncovered illegal mining settlement deep within the Subri Forest Reserve in the western region. The operation led to the destruction of an illegal settlement operated by the illegal miners, with heavy-duty mining equipment seized. Nana Bosompim says preliminary investigations points to a connection between illegal mining activities and the Boku conflict.
And I think majority of the people we are encountering are not from the western region. We've seen people from the neighboring regions, and we've seen people from the upper east, upper west, and the northern region.
What about non-Ghanaians? What about non-Ghanaians?
Yes, there are a lot of Ghanaians from the upper east, upper west, the northern region, and the savannah. And we saw a lot of indigenes from the Boku Borga area. And in our interaction with them, we are told that they come to work here to be able to repatriate some amount of money to their kinsmen to be able to fight. So they've created what WhatsApp groups, some of them we saw on their phones, that is like Boku citizens outside the main Boku environment, and they come to engage in galamsey and repatriate money back to support the conflict. And if you look at what is happening there, some of the people told us that if you come downside to work and you don't send money back to support the conflict in Boku, they will attack your family. So it tells you that the illegal mining menace is funding the conflict in Boku. No wonder it has exacerbated. These people have fortified themselves. We've seen them holding AK-47 rifles. We've seen them holding pump actions, and some of them have come with a lot of spiritual fortifications. One that I'm told when you be shoot at them, you will not get them. There have been instances that my team, the rapid response team of the First Commission, managed to arrest some of these people with so-called spiritual fortification against machete attacks. One of them was taken to the hospital, and as I speak to you, he's even in a critical condition because they cannot inject him. They are trying to give him infusion. The needle will not penetrate because you are told he swallows certain things. And this is the caliber of people that have invaded our region.
Well, the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission is on a mission to rid Boko of light weapons. I want to bring in its acting executive secretary, Adam Bona, who joins us on the line right now. Surprised to learn tonight that the illegal small-scale mining Galamsey is now fueling the conflict in Boko.
Oh yes, Evans, good evening and good evening to your listeners. Very worrying, very disturbing. I must be honest with you. I've done a lot of studies in the area of some of these are conflicts. But this is, I must confess, this is very new to me. I haven't done personally any studies the, what is, Galamsey or illegal mining fueling the conflict in Boko. But if you ask me, I will tell you that this would not be far from the truth. Because when you look at the amount of resource that the state is pumping into the resolution of this conflict, and the counter from the combatants who will not agree to lay down their arms, then one can only conclude that there are multiple sources of funding this Boko conflict. But you see, let's not be surprised. Internationally, countries that have, a lot of resource like we have, gold, diamonds, and the rest, would usually have these challenges. You remember Liberia, Sierra Leone, several other countries, because of their resource-rich nature, have been inhabited by people who do this.
It also suggests to us now, with this evidence that the Forestry Commission is pointing to, the urgency that we need to attach to the Galamsey fight. The war now needs to take a different dimension because Boko is burning. It's obviously dragging the name of this country into the mud. We are attempting to solve it. Now we know the reason why it keeps going, but the poor folks there are finding money in illegal mining.
That's correct. That's correct. I want to believe that from the small arms and light weapons point of view, we are doing our bit with regards to disarmaments. We are collaborating with other security agencies to rid the nation of some of these guys who have illicit weapons to ensure that we are able to retrieve them from them.
But particularly in Boko, how are you approaching it?
Your question again?
Particularly in Boko, how are you approaching the issue of retrieval of small arms?
Well, at the moment in Boko, Evans, you're not expecting me to say everything, but obviously, in every conflict situation, there will be someone who is supplying arms and ammunition. There are people who are engaging, and definitely, these weapons are not manufactured in Boko. The bullets are not manufactured there, and most of the instruments they use in fighting are not manufactured there. And so for now, what we are doing is to ensure, because looking at how volatile the place is, what we are doing is try to cut the source of, arms and ammunition to this area. Once we are able to do that, in fact, from where we are, we should be able to gradually reduce the violence in Boko. But I must say, it is not going to be a walk in the park. You have entrenched positions, and to have this worrying, findings that the Forestry Commission is now telling us that a good number of young people from this conflict area are now part of the Galamsey menace. And unfortunately, the money isn't going to rebuild Boko or to build homes wherever they find themselves, but to fuel the conflict we are seeing.
And very briefly, the knowledge now you know at least one of the primary sources of funding for the conflict there. Does that change your approach in any way?
Obviously it does. We have my team are embedded in most of the areas now, working overnight to ensure, because you have licensed arm dealers, licensed ammunition dealers. We have all of them, and so the issue would have to be confronted using a multifaceted approach in dealing with trying to disarm those who are involved in this conflict. It's like I said, it's a very challenging situation we find ourselves as a nation. From the small arms point of view, we have put in measures, and I'm sure you have seen some collaborative arrests we have already done, and you are going to see a lot of these arrests.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Adam Bona. He's the acting executive secretary of the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission. There's a big match that we're looking forward to in the Champions League. But let me tell you more about sports in general as we wait for that. And Musbao joins me with the very latest from the world of sports. Musbao.
Yes, Evans. Well, we're just about 8 minutes away from the big game between Real Madrid and Arsenal. It's talk about a certain comeback, not just in Spain, but also in Italy. Bayern Munich could be looking to, also do their own comeback against Inter Milan after losing 2-1 in the first leg. Madrid will have to score at least 4 goals to guarantee, 4 unanswered goals to guarantee a chance of qualifying to the next day of the competition. We'll see the likes of Courtois, Lucas Vazquez, Asensio, Rudiger, Alaba, Valverde, Tchouameni, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe all starting for Real Madrid. David Raya, Saliba, Kiwior, Timber, Luis Kelly, Thomas Partey, Odegaard, Declan Rice, Saka, Merino and Martinelli also starting for Arsenal. Thomas Partey, of course, the Ghanaian interest there, and he's been speaking ahead of the game.
Well, I think we all know what we have to do. We have to go there with the mentality to win. We want to win every game, and I think we have to, play our game, be confident with the ball, and also, try to find their weaknesses and keep attacking them.
You're someone who knows all about playing against Real Madrid, of course. What will you be saying to the players about the Bernabeu atmosphere?
Well, I think we've experienced this many times when we play here, and I think it's not going to be something different. We just have to be confident with the ball and try to play our game.
Thomas Partey there. Well, he's done a chance of hopefully playing in another final after, playing that final while he was at Atletico Madrid over there. Well, we have some Ghanaian fans who've been giving us predictions. Is it possible for Madrid to make a comeback? We'll hear from them. But before we do that, Kotoko have now dropped to third in the standings. The Ghana Premier League standings after losing 3-0 to Accra Lions. BBNE Gold Stars defeated Bechem United and they are top of the table. Hearts of Folk are now sixth. They lost to Indiana Stars by 2-0. Now, Ghanaian fans with their predictions on the big game tonight.
Come back because we have done it before with Bayern Munich, Dortmund. Yeah, so we'll come back full vim.
Arsenal will be eliminated because Madrid, we have the men to win. Arsenal will concede 4 goals and Arsenal will be eliminated.
And okay, Madrid and Arsenal, our champions launch but there's always a first time.
Arsenal no beer or what's their determination to say Chelsea and now Liverpool. And who be the teams in the and the over to Akasa, but Arsenal here or no beer idea and it's also.
Oh, Arsenal be you Madrid from hands down. So Arsenal to me. Madrid and Free I'm sure about BMO Muriasi. So I tell don't bet to be on Arsenal qualify.
We all know that's not true. We say that just as a measure to avoid the pain, but it comes nonetheless. Still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu is stoking the age-old debate on who founded Ghana as he commissions an Education Review Committee to settle the matter. The 7-member committee has been asked to review Ghana's education curricula from kindergarten to primary 6 to improve basic education. Listen to the minister.
We at the Ministry of Education are embarking on a bold and forward journey to review and revise curriculum from kindergarten to primary 6. This is not just a mere technical exercise or a routine update. It's a visionary step towards preparing our children for the real world of work. A world that is rapidly evolving and changing, increasingly interconnected, and full of challenges and opportunities. It is my considered view that the exercise we are going to undertake, which is the review of the curriculum, must result in the production of ethical and responsible leaders for our country, Ghana. I should end on a matter which I'm sure Many of you would say that why is Haruna stoking controversy? Knowing and teaching our true history with pride. Anyone who abandons his past and history loses his way to the future, I'm told. This is why we must be intentional in how we teach our children about Ghana's rich and complex history. So I'm at a loss that at 68 years we are still grappling with who are the founders of Ghana and who is the founding leader of Ghana or who is the founding father of Ghana. This must be a settled matter.
I want to bring in Dr. Peter Partey-Anti. He is Executive Secretary of the Institute for Education Studies, and Peter Kojo is the Chairperson of the Education Committee in Parliament. Dr. Partey-Anti, is this necessary?
Very much for having me. This is very important. I think that curriculums are like human beings. They are living beings. They need to be updated every now and then. You see, a curriculum leaves its lifespan after it has gone through the period that is supposed to be implemented. So we introduced the standard-based curriculum in 2019 for KG to Basic 6. It has run its lifespan, and therefore it is important that processes we kickstart processes to evaluate the effectiveness of the curriculum, look at the implementation processes, and then we design or review the curriculum to suit the current needs of society. So I think that it is a good step that the ministry wants to undertake, and I believe that they would go through the necessary processes. For example, there were certain core competencies that students were supposed to imbibe in the implementation processes. There have been challenges with teaching learning resources. These are things that would definitely impact on the implementation process.
And you made a very important point about the resources to back the curriculum once it's changed. I want to bring in Peter Kojo, who is the chairperson of the Education Committee in Parliament. I'm pretty sure you have been briefed somewhat on the plan to review the curriculum. How extensive is this going to be?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening. Yes, the curriculum, as we know, should be dynamic. That means it should be reviewed from time to time. Having run the curriculum for basic education for some time now, I think the time has come to review it. By reviewing it, we'll look at what were the weaknesses, what were the strengths of the current curriculum. So when we identify the weaknesses, then we can improve upon them. We are in an era where we have to abreast ourselves with a technological development. Learning processes have changed. So we need to move along with what is happening currently. So if you don't review your curriculum regularly, you will be left behind. That's why the minister has said that the type of curriculum that we want now must make our learners very, very, very thought-provoking, so that they can learn on their own.
Yeah, and I've seen that has been a theme running through even the last review that we did. And this is a conversation that we must pick up again in greater depth now that we're learning what the minister is thinking around what this review of the curriculum may possibly look like. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here on Newsnight. And just before we go, as Ghana braces for another rainy season, and I know many of you are, the National Disaster Management Organization is shifting focus from relief to readiness with flood-prone areas like Kwabre East and Asokre Mampon municipalities underwashed. NANMO says prevention pays and is training emergency responders, health workers, and local leaders to act before disaster strikes. For today's Climate Focus, Mohammed Nuruddin reports on the proactive steps being taken to protect lives and reduce the toll of floods in 2025.
Every year, floods destroy lives and property across Ghana. But this year, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, says it is taking no chances. As the rains begin, the message is clear. Prevention pays. Charlotte Norman is the Director for Climate Change Adaptation and Disaster Risk Reduction at NADMO.
I think it's important that we do simulation exercise, because without simulations, it's going to be very difficult to identify identify the gaps in the system.
Flood-prone areas like Kwabri East and Asakore Mampong municipalities have been identified as high-risk zones. In Greater Kumasi in 2024 alone, Kwabri East recorded 17 disaster cases. But this year, NADMO is turning response into readiness. For Charlotte Norman and her team, it is not just about reacting when disaster strikes, but about making sure every actor knows their role before the first drop of rain.
I see that in all your delivery, you spoke about what you want to do, etc., but you didn't give specific time. Remember, we have only 48 hours for the disaster to possibly strike. And so you have to set timelines. The communication that you are giving, how long is that going on?
And on that climate note, that's it for Newsnight tonight. Up next is Strong and Sassy.
Evans, you look like an
about?
Arsenal supporter.
No, I'm not. Far from it. I'm a Manchester United supporter.
All right. Okay. Wow. I guess you're not loyal then. They say Arsenal supporters
Not
are the
loyal.
most loyal.
Yeah,
most
because they've gone through a lot
loyal
of pain over
they
the
have.
years. Won absolutely nothing, but they still support the team with
I
everything.
feel like I gave you the opportunity to shade them unnecessarily.
Yeah, I mean, except that today I'm supporting them for the first time in a long time.
Oh, well, maybe you'll bring them good luck.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, they should win.
Maybe.
But if they don't win, I'll be surprised. This is what Arsenal.
Wow, Evans. Okay. So tonight we're talking about dating women over 30.
Oh, but that's young.
Right? That's your reaction. We'll open the phone line, so you'll be.
Dating women over 50 or 40 or 30.
Well, I mean,
it's within range.
You see, even the fact that you think there's a range.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Oh, really?
Why do you think there's a range? Why are you are pushing it to 40, but why is there a range? So let's say today's show was dating women over 40, then what?
Yeah, because women over 40, they come to the table with a whole different set of skills and experience.
I see.
Yeah, so that then raises the bar a bit. But 30,
and this your data is backed by personal research?
By yourself.
I didn't back any data. I
Are
have
you
not
disputing that you
contributed
come to the table with
anything.
a different set of skills?
I have no idea what set of skills.
In their 30s and 20s.
I have no idea what set of skills the
experience.
average 20-year-old has today.
And the average 30-year-old.
I was 20 a very long time ago. Anyway, today we're talking about dating
that conversation,
women over 30 and what that means. And obviously the brackets, the perceptions, the drama, the value which supposedly goes down as you get older, and all the things that people come up with to label women as we get older. So that's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, you should have one over 40.
Well, I'm representing over 40, but we actually have another guest who's over 40 as well. So
I'll listen to what they say.
No filters. That's one thing I can tell you about women over 40. No filters.
So you're finally confirming.
I'm just saying. That's just one thing. Stay tuned in. Strong SRC is coming up next.